Hey guys, happy Friday. So today our topic is how to help our children develop healthy sleep habits. And we really wanted to cover this because if your children are waking up at like 5 in the morning, I mean, there's really not a whole lot earlier you can get up in order to get that sacred time to do your morning ritual. And as with everything in parenting, this is tricky ground to walk over, and I am not claiming to be some sort of child sleep expert. Most of my children did not sleep through the night until after they were 1 year old. So I am not that mom who has her kids on a schedule sleeping through the night by like 6 or 7 weeks old. That's just not me. I have a much more laid back parenting style, I guess you could say. But I have always felt that the most important schedule I could get my kids on was a sleep schedule, and I know that that's something that helps them develop mentally when they have good amount of sleep, because babies, especially in children, their brains process and grow as they sleep. So sleep is vitally important to them learning and growing and developing and hitting milestones and just being not being like demon children. Because I don't know about you guys, when my children don't get enough sleep, they're just inconsolable. Like, it's just bananas, you know? Like, I can't, there's nothing you can do to please them when they are sleep deprived. So I think just for the sanity of the mom and the sanity of your children and their health, and their emotional health and their development, getting them good sleep is something that is really important and has always been important to me. Now, unfortunately, sleep is not something that kind of you can just put on autopilot with your kids. You kind of have to train them. At least most kids, and for sure my kids, I had to train them to have good sleep patterns and sleep habits. For my son, who was my first, he was very high alert child. He was just awake a lot, did not nap or sleep a lot, and was super difficult to get him to fall asleep. In fact, I couldn't even like wear him or rock him or soothe him in any way other than nursing him to get him to sleep, because just me being there was too much stimulation for him, and he would just be wide awake. And to this day, he is my worst sleeper, even though he's my oldest. He goes to bed late. He has a hard time falling asleep, and he wakes up super early. So that's just something that I really had to be mindful as he was a baby of taking away stimulation, taking away screens, putting on, like, making the room dark and dim, having kind of a long, like, lead up to bedtime just to get him ready for bed. So I would use oils like lavender, vetiver, there's some other Roman chamomile I know is a good one, and I would diffuse them. I'd put them on the soles of his feet. I'd have him lay in bed while I would read him stories, do whatever I could to kind of just create a very peaceful environment for him to go to bed. With my daughter, who is the second, she was like a great sleeper. She sleeps the most, and I did nothing differently. Just goes to show that kids they are who they are. So with her, I really don't need to. I mean, I do the same thing because I just put all my kids to bed at the same time. But what I did try to do with her was have a consistent bedtime and a consistent wake time. And having that consistent bedtime, I'm not like a super stickler about it, but I do really try as much as possible to make it consistent every night, to remove those screens and any kind of like phone lights or anything like that from their eyes, because that just sets off like all sorts of stimulation in their brains, and really just create that peaceful, restful environment. As far as babies go, I'm not even gonna give you guys any tips because babies are just so different. Like I said, my son, I could not hold him. And I know with my daughter, the baby that I have right now, my fourth, she loves to be held, and she just falls asleep and she just loves it. And so, you know, I could give you tips that worked with one child and that would be completely wrong for your baby. So I wish there was a formula that I could give you to tell you this is how you get your kids to sleep. But it really is about watching your child, trusting your instinct, and doing what you feel like is best. At the same time, don't be afraid to set some boundaries and to try and create some structure, because one thing that I often forget, and I love it when someone reminds me, you are the parent. You are the parent. You get to set the rules. You get to set the structures. And for me, at least, sometimes when I would remember, okay, I am the parent. I'm going to do this. I'm going to set a bedtime. I'm going to stick with that bedtime. It never goes well the first week. I usually want to give up. I usually think this is not working. My kids are fighting this. This is not going well. I don't think this is going to work. And something magical happens like on day 8 when I'm about to give up. It starts to click. They start to go into that groove of that routine that I've set for them. So it's like pulling teeth. It's forcing them to get into some sort of routine. They're hating it. They're crying. They're dragging their feet. I'm feeling like this isn't going to work. And something happens though when I'm consistent over time. Maybe it takes a week, maybe a week and a half. But as I am consistent over time, and I just kind of muscle my way through with love, but I'm just like firm, nope, we're doing this, come on, let's brush our teeth, come on, let's get in our pajamas, let's put on our oils, let's do all the things. As I am consistent and persistent with it, it looks like it doesn't work until it finally does. And so I just want to encourage you, if you are thinking, okay, I really need to get a more strict bedtime, or I really need to get my kids into some sort of, routine that works, just be prepared. It's probably going to be awful the first week. You're going to try the first night and you're going to be like, forget it. I'm going back to the old way. But my encouragement to you is persist. Keep going. Keep being consistent for at least 2 weeks, and then decide whether or not you want to give up, because this could be so life-giving for you. If you can push through the hard and get that routine established, you could find yourself with such freedom, not only in the mornings, but in the evenings, to be able to get them to bed at a certain time so that you can do your evening routine. You can set your clothes out for workouts the next morning, or you can clean up the dishes so that your house is beautiful and clean and peaceful at night. I don't know about you guys, but when my kids are up till all hours or getting out of bed all the time and coming into my bed with me, and I did co-sleep when they were little, but at a certain age I was just like, you know what, like, I need some space. And you know, when I create that, when I don't have that space created, I start to kind of resent my kids, and I don't want to resent them. I want to love them. I want to love it when they wake up in the morning. I want to be like, I'm already awake. I've already read my Bible. I've worked out. I've set my intentions for the day. I have my plan. I know what we're going to do. And then they wake up and I'm like, hey kids, I love you. Good morning. And I kiss them and I hug them. Like, that's how I want to greet my kids. And it doesn't happen every morning, but that's my goal. And that is what gives me the, fortitude to stick to my guns and kind of be strict mom at night, because I feel like the end result is going to be better. Now, guys, if you're like, no way, I can't do that, I don't want to do that, it doesn't feel like it would work for me and my family, totally. Go with what works for your family. There was a lady who was telling me that she's an Army mom, Army wife, and so her husband would be deployed for months at a time. I don't even know what that's like, to not have my husband around for months at a time, so I am not judging her in any way, shape, or form. But she was telling me that she would like turn the locks around on the doors and lock her kids in their rooms so they couldn't even get out until it was 8 o'clock and she was ready for them to get out. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, no judging if you do it. I could never do that. But I appreciated her reminding me, like I said, that you are the parent. And I appreciated that reminder, and that empowered me to say, you know what? I've been getting lax on our bedtime routine, and I am the parent, and this is for their good, and it's for my good, and so I'm going to be a stickler about this. I'm going to be more consistent. I'm not going to give in to their whines and their this and their that and their this, all these things. I'm going to stick to my routine. I'm going to move them into bed at a good hour. I'm going to give them some good sleep so that I can have a little time in the evening and I can have a little time in the morning. And that's going to be so great for our family. And so keeping in mind my why for doing it helps me to be more consistent, and reminding myself I am the parent. Like, I can set these boundaries and there's freedom within these boundaries. So, okay, so here are the practical tips now. Creating that peaceful nighttime routine is really helpful. Using the oils, super helpful as well. Also, when they get a little bit older, there's this okay to wake clock that is super cool. It changes color in the morning when it's okay for them to get out of bed and come out of their room. So it does take, like I said, a little bit of training. Even after you get it, it's not like they're just going to obey it all the time. But if you can be consistent to train them, it's a great clock, because then they don't even have to tell time. They just wait until it turns a different color. My kids are all in the same room, and so they just kind of like get out toys and they start playing if they're already awake, and they just stay in their room until that color changes. And that kind of helps me, and it even helps me to say, if they do come out, hey, go back to your room, wait until the clock turns. And they kind of love like waiting and watching for it to turn. There are a few different versions of this clock, and Amber actually has discovered like a super fancy one that you can set on your app that you can change on the weekends as opposed to during the week. And it does some other things as well. I can't remember what exactly, but we're going to link to all of these resources, the oils we like, the diffusers we like, the okay to wake clocks that we like, and hopefully that will help you guys. Oh, sound machines. I love sound machines in the kids' room. I've been using them since they were a baby. Kind of blocks out some of the sounds. I'm not very loud in the morning, but my husband is, and so, you know, if I can just keep their room kind of isolated away from anything that might wake them up, I'm all about that, and sound machines are great for that. You know, even like my kids who are a little bit older, this probably works maybe, depending on your child, from age 3 upwards, maybe 2.5 if they're like really, you know, with it. But I'll just explain to them, you know, especially in the mornings when they get up, when I send them back to their rooms, I'll say, guys, this is mommy's time. This is mommy's time to be with the Lord. This is mommy's time to exercise. This is mommy's time to plan out our day. I want to plan really fun things for you guys. I want to make sure that I have good, yummy foods for you. I want to plan out our meals. And I just kind of envision them, and I'm setting boundaries for them to respect me as a person, that yes, I am their mom. Yes, my life does kind of revolve around like keeping them alive and make sure they're educated and things like that. But I'm teaching them in their minds that I'm not their slave. I'm not their maid. I am not, you know, my life doesn't revolve around them. It does, kind of. But when I set these boundaries and I say, you know what, I'm all yours, but this is mine. This is my time. And it's kind of the same concept that I have like with my food. I don't allow my kids to just reach and grab food off of my plate. If I've served them food, I'm trying to set boundaries that like we respect each other. And this is mine, and you need to respect that. And I respect you. I try to treat my children with lots of respect. If they don't really want to do something and it's not like a safety issue or something like that, I respect them and I don't force them, and I don't say, well, you've got to do it because I told you to. At least I try not to. And I just try to treat them with respect, but I also set those boundaries that for them to treat me with respect. You know, I make them wait until I'm finished talking with someone before I answer them. Like, and again, these are things that when they're a little bit older, you can do this. If they're babies, it's almost impossible, but I just wanted to throw that out there. That's just what I do. If you feel like I can't do that, I don't want to do that, that's not how I parent, no worries. But I just thought that some of these ideas and tips might help you as you're navigating your way through and trying to set up some good, healthy habits, sleep habits for your kids, and carve out that morning time so that you really can. You're not feeling like it's constantly being stolen away by your kids, but you're able to protect it and keep it for yourself. Okay. All right. I'll be posting some of those resources a little bit later tonight, and let me know if there are some things that you do that are really helping your kids get good sleep habits. I would love to hear it because, like I said, I am no expert, and my kids were up this morning a little bit earlier than I would have liked. And it's a process. It's all a process. Nobody has arrived. So I'd love to hear from you guys if you have some things as well that is helping you and helping your kids.